The Vatican is the heart of the Catholic world, a citadel of faith, a repository of secrets and ancient traditions that are passed down from generation to generation. Many of these customs are shrouded in a dense fog of legends, and some of them may seem, to put it mildly, shocking to the modern person. Today, we will lift the veil of mystery and talk about one of the most incredible, most delicate, and undoubtedly the most controversial procedures in the centuries-old history of the papacy. Have you ever heard of the ritual of verifying the gender of the newly elected pope? No, this is not a joke or a prank. This is not a medieval anecdote. Are you ready to learn the details, find out how and why this was done, and whether such a tradition even existed? Then, make yourself comfortable. Stay with us further. It will only get more interesting, with more intrigue and unexpected facts, so let's mentally transport ourselves to the Middle Ages, the time of knights and fair ladies, crusades, and the Inquisition. A time when rumors and gossip, unverified information, spread faster than the fastest horse, faster than the plague, affecting the minds and hearts of people. And now imagine, in the 9th century, like a lightning bolt, amidst a clear sky, a legend emerges about a woman of incredible courage and intellect, who dared to deceitfully occupy the highest position in the Catholic Church, the papal throne. Her name was Joan. According to this astonishing story, Joan, from a very young age, was distinguished by her sharp mind, an incredible thirst for knowledge, and was exceptionally educated, which was extremely unusual for a woman of that time. She masterfully, for years, pretended to be a man, concealing her true identity, and thanks to her intellect and cunning, step by step, she made a brilliant ecclesiastical career, climbing higher and higher up the hierarchical ladder, and reached the pinnacle. She became the Pope of Rome. Incredible, but true, if you believe the legend, of course. However, her secret reign, her audacious deception lasted, alas, not long, only 2 short years. The legend, passed down from mouth to mouth, claims that the deception was revealed in the most unexpected, the most dramatic way, and one might say the most tragic manner. During one of the solemn crowded processions in front of the astonished crowd, Joanna gave birth. Right there, on the street, among the jubilant believers. It's hard to imagine a bigger scandal, a greater shock for the Church and the faithful. One can only guess what shock the witnesses of this incredible event experienced. This story, whispered and accumulating ever more colorful and sometimes terrifying details, instantly spread throughout the Christian world. To this day, centuries later, heated debates continue about whether Pope Joan was a real historical figure or merely a clever fabrication, a cunning myth created by adversaries to discredit, to undermine the Catholic Church and weaken its authority. Most modern historians, having thoroughly examined all available sources, tend to believe that the story of Joan is indeed a myth, a beautiful but untrue legend. However, be that as it may, this legend has proven to be surprisingly enduring, incredibly resilient, and, most astonishingly, it gave rise to one of the strangest, the most unusual, and, undoubtedly, the most delicate traditions of the Vatican, which is what we are discussing. To prevent a similar embarrassment from happening again, to avoid a new scandal that could cause irreparable damage to the Church's reputation, supposedly, because there is no complete certainty, a special, secret procedure was introduced, a thorough verification of each individual's gender, of the newly elected Pope. For this, according to legend, a special chair was used. A chair with an unusual design. Sedia. Stercoraria. The name of this item alone sounds quite unseemly and even off-putting. In literal translation from Latin, a chair with a hole. or, to be completely precise and not shy away from expressions, the dung chair. Let's try to imagine how this delicate ceremony might have taken place. After exhausting multi-day conclave sessions, after long debates and votes, the cardinals finally elected a new pope. And so, before announcing this to the world, before the celebrations began, the newly elected pontiff had to sit in this very chair. Sedia, Stercoraria, and a specially appointed cardinal, according to some versions, the youngest of the cardinals was chosen, had to perform, let's say, a tactile inspection. He had to feel the pontiff's genitals through the hole in the seat of this chair to confirm his masculinity. And only after this, let's be honest, unusual and not entirely pleasant procedure, after the cardinal was convinced of the elect's gender, he would loudly and publicly announce Mass nobis, nominus est, which translates from Latin as our chosen one is a man. And only after this solemn declaration, only after this peculiar confirmation, did the general celebrations, rejoicing, and festivities begin. On the occasion of the election of the new head of the Catholic Church, the new vicar of God on earth. Sounds incredible, fantastic, implausible, doesn't it? And of course, this story immediately raises a lot of questions, doubts, and bewilderment. Firstly, how ethical, how decent and permissible is it to subject the Pope, the spiritual leader of millions of believers, to such a, to put it mildly, humiliating procedure? It's a direct insult to his dignity. Secondly, how effective was this test at all? How much could it guarantee the result? After all, with enough desire, skill, and ingenuity, anyone can be deceived, even the most experienced cardinal. And this is where the most interesting, the most mysterious part begins. The fact is, there are no direct, irrefutable, 100% proofs of the existence of this strange tradition, this ritual. There is no verification. There are only indirect testimonies, vague hints. There are mentions in some medieval chronicles, which, however, can be interpreted in different ways. There are legends, passed down from generation to generation, accumulating more and more details. Finally, there are those very famous chairs with holes, which are carefully preserved in the museums of the Vatican and in one of the museums in Paris. But the true purpose of these chairs also sparks fierce debates among historians and researchers. The debates continue to this day. Some authoritative researchers, specialists in the history of the Middle Ages and the Vatican, believe that the Sedia Stercoraria were used for entirely different, much more prosaic purposes, unrelated to gender verification. For example, there is a version that these chairs served as a kind of toilet for weakened elderly cardinals who participated in long multi-day conclave sessions when leaving the meeting hall was prohibited. Or these chairs could have been a symbol of the transience and vanity of earthly power, reminding the newly elected Pope that even he, the Vicar of God on earth, the almighty head of the Catholic Church, remains just a mere mortal, subject to all human weaknesses. There is also another quite interesting version. It states that the chairs with a hole were indeed used during the enthronement ceremony, that is, the solemn installation of the new Pope on the throne. But they were not used for a humiliating gender check, but for the symbolic, ritual birth of the new pontiff. According to this version, the cardinal would insert his hand through the hole in the seat, and as if receiving the new pope symbolically, helping him to be born into a new role, marking his spiritual rebirth, his transition to a new status. As you can see, there is no unequivocal, clear, definitive answer to the question of whether the tradition of checking the gender of the Pope actually existed. Too many uncertainties, too many contradictions, too few reliable facts. The official position of the Vatican, the position of the Catholic Church itself, is as follows. This whole story about checking the gender is nothing more than a malicious fabrication, a dirty libel, anti-clerical propaganda generated by the enemies of the Church seeking to discredit it. The Vatican asserts that nothing of the sort ever happened and could not have happened in principle. But, despite all the denials, despite the lack of direct evidence, the legend continues to live, to stir minds, to excite the imagination. And, admit it, this spicy, this delicate story adds even more intrigue, even more mystery to the already astonishing, enigmatic, and contradictory history of the papacy. Whether to believe in this legend or not is, of course, up to you, each one of you. In any case, this story is a vivid, illustrative example of how myths and legends are born, live, and continue to exist, and they are passed down from generation to generation, accumulating over time with new and sometimes completely fantastical details. Thank you for being with us, for sharing this with us. This is an exciting journey into the past, diving into this amazing, ambiguous, and undoubtedly captivating story. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something new and interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel, and leave your comment. We are very interested and eager to know your opinion. Do you think the gender verification of the Pope was a harsh reality of the Middle Ages? Or is it just a beautiful, or perhaps not so beautiful legend, a fabrication, with no basis? Share your thoughts, your assumptions. See you again on our channel, where we will continue to uncover the mysteries of history.